All right, so this is truly one of the craziest stories I've seen since Donald Trump got back into office, and that's saying something. We all know that Donald Trump doesn't read his daily intelligence documents, he doesn't attend intelligence briefings, and that has begun to concern people in the intelligence community. So much so that they're thinking of ways to revamp his briefing, and one of the ideas that's being floated is remaking the briefing into a video that looks like a Fox News report. That is seriously something that the Trump administration is considering because Donald Trump's attention span is worse than a goldfish, and he needs pretty colors and big pictures and large writing in order to stay focused. So I want to dive right into this concerning article with you, but I also want to give you some context on how we got here. Here's a report from Politico that Donald Trump has sat for only 12 daily intelligence briefings since taking office. So we're like 5 or 6 months into Donald Trump's presidency, and he's only sat for 12. Insanity. Since Donald Trump was sworn into office in January, he sat for just 12 presentations from intelligence officials of the president's daily brief. That's a significant drop compared with Trump's first term in office, according to a Politico analysis of his public schedule. So Donald Trump's first term was already remarkably low in terms of his attendance for these briefings. It's gotten even worse, so much worse that even his own officials are concerned. In much of his first term, Trump met with intel officials twice a week for the briefing, which is not enough, which provides the intelligence community's summary of the most pressing national security challenges facing the nation. The low number of briefings this time around is troubling to many in and around the intelligence community who are already concerned about Trump's act first, evaluate after approach to governing. I mean, we see that all the time, that Donald Trump does something and then he realizes it's not working and then walks it back because he didn't sit for his briefings. He didn't talk to people about it first. Quote, "It's sadly clear that Donald Trump doesn't value the expertise of and dangerous work performed by our intelligence professionals each and every day, and unfortunately, it leaves the American people increasingly vulnerable to threats we ought to see coming," said Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. The sporadic pace of briefings comes as Trump has been working to broker an end to the wars in Gaza and Ukraine and jumpstart nuclear talks with Iran. It's just interesting that the Trump administration, or more so Donald Trump specifically, think that they can do this successfully if he doesn't read his briefings. How are you going to be able to navigate these global challenges if you don't know what's going on? It is that act first, think later approach that Donald Trump just does all of the time. Each president is different in the manner and pace at which they receive their briefings, and Trump is not entirely out of step with some of his predecessors. But with Trump, there's added concern as he is known not to read the accompanying briefing documents referred to as the book that is put together by intelligence analysts in a highly labor-intensive process. This document is delivered in hard copy or on a tablet device to the president and his key advisors 5 days a week. So Donald Trump is not only not going to these briefings, but he's also just not reading the daily intelligence documents. That is, as I mentioned, a trend we saw in his first term, and it's something that's continuing here. That is incredibly concerning, that the president of the United States, the guy who's meant to be sitting there every single day reading this intelligence, getting an understanding of what's happening in the world and acting appropriately, is not doing that. That is a core function of the presidency. The president is meant to be doing this every single day. 7 days a week. That's what you sign up for when you run for president. Donald Trump is doing none of that. Matter of fact, in 5 months, 5 to 6 months, he sat for only 12. So that brings us to this story, which is Trump admin officials are considering revamping his daily intelligence briefing to make it look like a Fox News broadcast. And I really wish I could say I was kidding. I wish we didn't live in this timeline where we have to be having this conversation. But unfortunately, it is the case. Donald Trump's intelligence chief is exploring ways to revamp his routine intelligence briefing in order to build his trust in the material and make it more aligned with how he likes to consume information. And the way that he likes to consume information is this salacious Fox News reporting that's so over the top and gross that it makes you feel sick in your stomach. As part of that effort, National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard has solicited ideas from current and former intelligence officials about steps she could take to tailor the briefing, known as the President's Daily Brief, or PDB, to Trump's policy interests and habits. That's right. They're trying to tailor it to his interests. See, the thing about the presidential daily briefing is that all of the material you may not necessarily be interested in. You may not love reading about it. It might be mundane. But again, that's the job you sign up for when you become president of the United States. You don't get to pick and choose what issues you care about. That's the job. I just cannot believe that this guy is running our country. One idea that's been discussed is possibly creating a video version of the PDB that's made to look and feel like a Fox News broadcast for the people with direct knowledge of the discussion said. A Fox News broadcast. Donald Trump's addiction to Fox News is so bad that he's incapable of consuming highly sensitive information in any other way. He has to see like an interview going on, the bright colors, the big writing on the headline, the Chiron, things like that. He cannot consume information any other way. We have a child as president of the United States. He reminds me of the toddler that's sitting at the table that you have to give a toy or an iPad or whatever you have to do to get them to be quiet. That just is what Donald Trump reminds me of. Currently, the PDB is a digital document created daily for the president and key cabinet members and advisors that includes written text as well as graphics and images. The material that goes into classified briefing and how it's presented can shape a president's decision making. According to his public schedule, now updated since the last article we saw, since his inauguration, Trump has taken the PDB 14 times. So an additional 2 times in about a month since that first article was published. Just think about, I really am having a hard time wrapping my head around this, that our intelligence community is having to dedicate time to creating Fox News-like broadcasts just so the president of the United States can understand what's happening around the world. I can't even begin to tell you how insane that is. They should be focused on the actual issues taking place around the world, not this. They're not producers. They're not newsmakers. They are officials. They are intelligence analysts and things of that nature. They're not Fox News producers. And this story is going incredibly viral right now on social media. So I want to show you some responses to the reporting that I just thought were interesting. Like, for example, this one from Greg, which I was reading earlier. Hiring someone to run the world's most powerful nation who doesn't read or know how to use a computer seems like a very bad idea. I would also concur that I think having somebody who doesn't do their reading, doesn't know what's happening around the world every single day as president of the United States is probably not a good idea. Michael says, yeah, great idea. She could have Jesse Waters host the briefings and a toll-free number that we could call to ask questions, make speeches, or accuse generals of treason. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these responses are really great. How about this one? This is what happened when you have a president with the IQ of a toddler. People are rightly very upset about this reporting, and as baffled as I am, as you probably are at home watching this video, that the president of the United States can't consume information unless it looks like Fox News. That should concern every single American. And people are wondering, like, why haven't things gotten done since Donald Trump got into office? Why have things gotten worse? Not only is he incompetent, he's also ignorant. He doesn't know what's taking place around the world. You at home, me, we probably know more than the president of the United States. And that's a problem. That's a real problem. So anyway, I will leave the video there. I just had to show you this really, really concerning reporting. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also drop a like on the video and comment. Again, please let me know what you think about this. But as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.